Ready?
Yeah.
Hello, fine-tuned females.
Hi.
Today we're going to talk about something so interesting. Not.
No, it's depressing.
Depressing topic. But we're going to give you every bit of information that we have to help you navigate the world of cellulite.
Almost every woman's hell. I mean, if you don't have it, you're damn lucky.
Yeah, so there are some women, we always talk about those lucky women who don't have cellulite. So not for you ladies, but who are these people who don't have cellulite?
They're about 12 years old, going through puberty.
They have a certain type of skin, you always say, because you're married to a man who's very dark skinned,
Yes,
and his family is Sephardic, so they have dark Moroccan skin.
Yeah, so the good thing about having that dark skin or that thicker olive skin is that usually it's so thick it ages better and cellulite is not as apparent. It's much more resilient, so you get less chance of getting those like crinkly wrinkles and
dimples
and dimples.
Cottage cheese.
And the cottage cheese. What we call the cabbage patch
We got the cottage
syndrome.
cheese.
Ooh.
So I have a little bit too, and I work out a ton. So let's just discuss briefly what cellulite is. So cellulite is the way fat is formed. So it's a fat that is subcutaneous, meaning it's on the surface closest, just underneath the skin. That's why it shows as those little dimples. And the reason why it doesn't show as much on men and it does show on more fair-skinned people is because the waffling of the fiber, so your fat cells have to get held together by something. So think of some kind of net that holds a wad of fat together. You have a wad of fat here, and it's got to get bound in something. So these are fibrous connective tissue that has a waffle surface, and the little fat deposits go in there. And what makes them dimple is that when each fat cells gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it pops out through, think of honeycomb, it pops out through that honeycomb.
Right.
So one thing that we can do to diminish the appearance of cellulite is lose weight, shrink the fat cells. How do we do that? Lots of exercise and pumping up the muscles in your legs, because if you pump up the muscles, and one of the things that you came to me for when we started working together 1,000 years ago or a millennium ago, it was, you're like, oh, I want to get rid of the cellulite in my thighs. And I said, bad news, you can't really just spot reduce cellulite. But what we can do, and it really worked, is lots of different types of squats and jump and leg exercises will actually help reposition the fat, because your muscles are going to pump up a little bit more, and it's going to move the fat to a better looking area where it's not as noticeable. Does that make sense?
It does.
So we lifted it up. So think of like J-Lo. She runs, she does marathons. So she does have cellulite, but it moved up.
Right.
And why are we on this topic anyway?
Well, the funny thing is a lot of big athletes have cellulite.
We were looking at a picture of who?
Serena Williams. Unfortunately, she's as strong as a bull, and yet she still has a little dimpling.
A little. Someone took a butt shot of that girl.
Lighting is very damaging.
For all the money that she makes, she should sue somebody on Instagram for
would.
posting this picture. But her butt, it really showed the cellulite. But I thought it was great because it does show how when you have really strong muscles, it doesn't look so bad because it moves it up.
I don't know how she gets that cellulite with all her muscle tone and everything else.
Yeah, it's genetic. And
it has to be genetic.
There is a gene for cellulite, and there's a gene for people who don't have cellulite. That's why people who have dark Middle Eastern skin, often it's hereditary. That's why the mother doesn't have it, the daughter doesn't have it, the grandmother doesn't have it. So they inherited that gene. So there's nothing you can do. Except we have tried a few treatments, right?
Well, one thing I would avoid is when you're wearing a short skirt, watch how you cross your legs, because it does emphasize it. You may not notice it, but you can notice it on other people, and even younger women. That's just because of the pressure on the skin, the way it's compressing, will enhance the cellulite. But that's just because you're doing that movement. Now, we have tried other things like creams.
So we're both wearing the same skirt right now, and the elastic binding is not digging in. But I have another version of this skirt. It's from Athleta. We're wearing the same one, ironically. And I have one that has a tighter band around the thigh, and that makes my cellulite pop out where one doesn't. So just when you buy something that has elastic, just check how it's touching you if it's in the thigh area. So that's just a little fashion tip.
Yes.
And then you went to a bunch of doctors and got a lot of information from different plastic surgeons.
I was looking for preventative because, when I was younger, when I met you, I didn't really have that much cellulite. And obviously as you get older, it just happens. Plus, I had a desk job sitting a lot. That's, again, putting pressure on the area, and you're not getting enough exercise perhaps. So you're going to get a little more cellulite. I went to a lot of doctors about finding out about different treatments. I tried a lot of creams to prevent.
Yeah.
And there are creams that do things, but they're very temporary. It's like makeup. Once you take it off, you don't look how you do with makeup.
It only works for the time being.
It works for the time being. So some will actually stimulate a heat sensation. They have cayenne or something hot in there.
Cayenne pepper.
Which will inflame it.
And caffeine. Yeah.
Right.
Anything that puffs it up. So none of these things, ladies, is getting rid of the cellulite. We're just camouflaging it like putting makeup on.
Right. And then there's some treatments that you can do medically, like Thermage or whatnot, that also heat up. And that creates this temporary swelling effect. But once it wears off, your cellulite's right back, and sometimes it's even worse.
Yeah, it's not getting rid of the cellulite.
No.
So things like Thermage or these massage things.
Well, I've also tried once a radiofrequency.
Oh, you did?
Yes, technique a long time ago, because I just had a little dimpling, and I thought, if I just zap that, I can get rid of it. And that works differently. That actually attacks the fibers and the fat that's in between the fibers. It's supposed to break it apart using this technology.
But it's temporary.
Everything's temporary. I mean, you just like you said, exercise, not eating too much fat, and trying to keep yourself full of muscle instead of, a fatty layer.
And when we say not eat too much fat, not eat too many foods that make you fat, because eating fat doesn't necessarily make you fat if you're on a diet that's, say, 1,500, 1,600 calories a day. Probably if you get some exercise, that's not going to add weight to you.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily mean not to eat fat, because we do need to eat some healthy fats, right?
Healthy fats, yes.
Yeah.
But if you're eating pounds of butter and ice cream,
So no matter what happens, that's a whole other topic. Yeah. But no matter what happens, is too many calories are going to make you gain weight. And if you're going to gain weight, we're not gaining muscle weight unless you're really pumping iron. We're gaining fat weight.
Right.
So one thing that you can do is, if you get one of those massage treatments, it's temporary, but a lot of celebrities on the red carpets, what do? Is they get that Thermage or they get those massages, and what that does is it stretch those fibers I was talking about that make the puckering effect, that are holding the fat cells together in that netting, as I was saying earlier. Those massages actually stretch the fibers out temporarily. And that's what makes the cellulite look like it's not there. So two things is plumping up the skin to camouflage it, to hide it under there, and then stretching those fibers out.
I didn't do entomology, but I don't know the actual names. It was a radio frequency kind of treatment that would go beneath the skin and attack.
And they try to break it up.
Right, try to break up that fat that's caught in those little pockets.
Right.
In those fibers.
Well, they're trying to break up the fibers.
Yeah.
Or was it zapping the fat?
It was zapping a little bit more of the fibers, you're right, because it would create that, it would dissipate out less and create less bulk in the area of like an actual fat pocket.
And then it comes back. But the celebrities do that. So if you have like an event where you have to wear a bathing suit or something.
It's a lymphatic massage. Is that what it is?
A lymphatic massage? Well, so having poor lymphatic drainage might also cause some cellulite.
Right.
So a loss of estrogen as you get older.
Right.
So estrogen may affect it.
Right.
And then exercise will definitely affect it. And then what was the other thing we were talking about? Massage. So massage can actually stretch out those fibers.
That's right.
But basically the deal is like, don't waste your money on liposuction, because that's really expensive. And what did we find out about liposuction?
Well, it doesn't prevent cellulite from forming. It does remove fat, so it might decrease if you're, heavier. But if you're just average weight and you want to get rid of a little pocket here and there that you might have had after having children or whatever, it doesn't really necessarily. Sometimes it actually causes a little more cellulite because of the way the fat's distributed, and they're removing some fat. Fat comes back, by the way. So just because you're removing it, it'll come back. And a lot of these techniques that use like a sonobella or whatever, that actually get rid of the fat using laser, whatever. Fat, when you have it in your body, unless you really work out and watch what you eat, it'll find another place to go.
Yeah.
So you can't prevent that, and you can't prevent cellulite the same way. It's sort of, you have to live with it and try to manage it.
Yeah, there's something called lipogenesis, which if you just think of what the name is, it's creating more fat.
Right.
Genesis of more lipids, and lipids are fat. And so you eat too much, your body actually is going to create more fat cells.
Right.
There's nothing you can do about it, because I've had clients who've they've had their whole body sucked out.
Oh.
Yeah, and then they still have cellulite.
Yeah.
Now, on some people, like Tata was saying, is if you are overweight and you get some liposuction, it could work in this way. It's going to take away the fat that's below the surface, so the deeper fat, and it's pushing the cellulite out. Now, in that case, I believe liposuction would work, because I did see that work on some clients where they got some fat sucked out, the deep fat, and it looked like some less cellulite. Although they didn't take out the cellulite, they took out the fat below, and it just made it look like there was less.
Right.
You know?
So, because cellulite, right, Jill, is stuck in fibers.
Yep.
It's not really something you can suck out.
Cellulite is just a type of fat.
Right.
It's like we all have fat cells in our body, and cellulite is how certain fat cells are formed. It's more of like the look of fat cells.
Right. Yeah. So.
And they're the ones that are closest to the surface.
Right. So you can manage it, but you don't really get rid of it.
Yeah, so we would suggest not wasting your money on liposuction unless you're very overweight and you want to just shrink your overall size, right? But don't use it as it's a very expensive remedy that won't really work on cellulite. But exercise and getting a lot of blood flow. So we were talking about
circulation.
Yeah, so Tata was saying how she was sitting a lot, and sitting a lot will also affect that because your lymphatic system slows down.
Right.
You need to keep flushing, so drinking a lot of water, staying hydrated, getting massages, regular massages if you can. These are all things that you can do to manage.
And you can do it to yourself sometimes. Like, when you're putting on your body creams, try to massage deeply. But all these fixes, all these, I don't want to call them gimmicks, but they're, they basically are, because nothing lasts forever. It's just like anything you do. When you color your hair, it doesn't last forever.
Exactly.
You have to go back and touch it up. So with constant touching up and maintenance, you can manage it quite well if you want to go that route. It just gets very costly.
Nothing is permanent except for actual fat loss, lots of exercise, and getting lots of blood into the area, and making sure that you're hydrating and keeping things as full as possible.
Or just embrace some small imperfections, because it's part of life.
Exactly. You look on Instagram at this picture of Serena Williams. It was, I thought very inspiring. So the final takeaway on this is that there are no techniques that actually make cellulite disappear magically, at least yet, that we've been able to find. If you know one that is clinically tested and proven and not paid for by the company, leave us a note and let us know if you found something that actually reduces cellulite.
Love to know.
Yeah, and we're in Beverly Hills, and we talk to doctors regularly. There is the melt your fat.
Yeah.
Not the melt your fat, the freeze your fat.
Freeze your fat, right.
Yeah. And they say that gets rid of cellulite. I have seen people get it, and they do look slimmer. I don't know if it actually got rid of cellulite. So if anyone's an expert on the freeze your fat, I have a doctor friend who's a plastic surgeon. He does it.
Yeah.
He says it works, but of course
it does, and apparently your fat won't go back to that area, but you will gain fat elsewhere. That's the thing. The key is you're not resolving a fat issue overall, just an area.
Yes, and then if you continue on your same diet and not enough exercise, then the fat's going to go somewhere else. Yeah.
So obviously, if you're eating the same diet you did 10 years ago, it may no longer be working for you.
Exactly. So check in with your trainer, or check in with us, and or someone who's a nutrition coach like me, and people like that can help guide you on the right diet, the amount of calories that you need, or at least give you a non-calorie counting diet that will just help you eat a little bit less and help you shrink some of those fat cells. Leave us a note, please like this video and subscribe to our channel, and if there's another topic that we can help you understand better that has anything to do with health, beauty, fitness, or fashion, let us know.
Let us know.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.